Well, I wasn't really going to do any more videos on Occupy Central, but since it has gone this far, I thought I should make some comments about it. If you have watched my past videos, you would know that I have attended the anti-Occupy Central rally and signed the petition on ending the rally. So why am I among the 70% who is against the Occupy Central movement? That is because I know the truth. Like most democracy movements initiated in China, Occupy Central is a movement aimed to serve the interests of Western imperialism. Occupiers have blocked roads and traffic. Our children need to wake up about 4:30 a.m. in the morning so they wouldn't be late for school. Businesses have closed because customers are unable to reach the shops. It makes no sense at all for occupiers to threaten the government by harming ordinary people. The occupiers themselves make no more than 1% of Hong Kong, and they expect the 99% to abide and obey them. Knowing those who are against this movement have outnumbered the supporters, occupiers constantly accuse us of being paid to sign the petitions. However, it has proven that the National Endowment of Democracy has been funding the occupiers and their pan-democratic supporters. Most of the occupiers are not students. There are Falun Gong practitioners, separatists of Tibet, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and all sorts of organizations who are undermining the unity of China. Last month, there was a restaurant owner begging the occupiers to give way to him so he can continue his business. Later, they falsely accused him of sexual assault, which is pretty pathetic. Occupiers blamed the police for beating up a protester. However, once I knew that the protester poured a bottle of urine onto the police, I really wouldn't blame them. Now, let's say if it was the police who have poured something on the protesters, they would have accused the police of violence. So it's really hypocritical. One day I so happened to pass by the Admiralty protest site, and I took these videos and photos while I was there because I wanted to record what was really going on. Shortly after some filming, some occupiers came up to me to stop me filming, and knowing that I was outnumbered, I took no hesitation to leave. Who knows what could have happened to me if I insisted to stay and film. I know that the occupiers are afraid of leaking out something that they don't want the public to know, like perhaps all the garbage that is lying around. At the same time, it was very scary for me too. Days after my presence on the site, I saw the news of anti-occupiers who got tied up by the occupiers. That made me think about the day when I was there. I really think that I was lucky to leave early enough, because they could have tied me up if I stayed and continued to film what was there. I remember that at that time, when I was filming, not a police was on the site where I was. Now, very recently, student activist Alex Chow Yun Kang and two other student leaders went to the airport to take a protest trip to Beijing. They weren't able to take off because their home return permits were made void. The students started to demand the Hong Kong government for an explanation and made themselves look like heroes by claiming how the government was like afraid of them and things like that. For a third person who knows the situation, it is very obvious that the three students are only just making a show. Students looked surprised about having their home return permits made void. However, they would surely know about their permits they should surely know that their permits were already voided much earlier, because just about probably more than a week before the trip, an unknown student who participated in the movement was escorted back to Hong Kong the moment he crossed the border to Shenzhen. If such a not so well-known activist was not even allowed to set foot on mainland soil, with no doubt that the doors of mainland China would be locked for Chow and the other active student leaders. Like most Hong Kong people, Chow himself already knew that his home return permit would be effective no more. He knew this days before arriving to the airport. He and his team just wanted to perform a show for us to see, using the opportunity to play a heroic act, making it look like the Chinese government is really scared of him. Now, of course, that's definitely impossible. The government could have them arrested any time they wanted to. So it seems to me that the Chinese government isn't really the evil organization which the students claim it to be. As for their demands for the Hong Kong government to give an explanation for their cancelled home return permits, the Hong Kong government isn't and was never responsible for issuing home return permits. Home return permits are actually issued to Hong Kong citizens by the mainland government, so Hong Kong people can travel and live on the mainland with maximum convenience. The students have their permits voided because they have broken the law in Hong Kong and are harming innocent civilians. They even enforce citizens to learn to cope with these hardships for their self-benefits. I honestly think that there is every reason for everyone in mainland China not to welcome them at all. Well, are all occupiers traitors serving for imperialist interests? The big players are more than likely, but I think some people in the group are misled into the coup. So, what I really want to say to the misled and to all the people who are watching this video, that we should really try to look at the situation with an open mind. China is a country with two systems, where the mainland runs under a particular system, while Hong Kong runs under a different political system. Under the present government, China as a nation has made great progress ever since its doors were open to the world. It began as one of the most porous nations, and now it's the largest economy in the world, already surpassing the US. I myself spent some years of my later life in Shenzhen and witnessed immense changes in the city. During my years in Shenzhen, I didn't feel oppressed, which the Western media always claims when it comes to talking about China. In fact, I earned myself some great friends and got the chance to learn a lot of mysterious and interesting facts about the country. A lot of it was really the opposite, or perhaps not even mentioned on the free press at all. That's the reason why I created this channel, so I can unveil the untold and rarely heard mysteries. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to produce as many videos as I wanted to, so for all of you, I do recommend to come and visit China, but come with an open mind, not with a poor attitude. Just like Sir Alexander Madison once said, I'd rather visit China by swimming the Atlantic than sail in a battleship. I'm sure anyone can learn a great deal of knowledge, which they have never dreamed of learning at all. However, it's a shame that we have a number of people, like the occupiers, who want to prevent this from happening. That itself would have to stop. So yeah, I say learn and understand China with an open mind, and you'll be amazed to see what you can gain from it.